about graduation about a week before. And I start by thinking about how happy and excited I am for people who are graduating because it's such a momentous thing and such an accomplishment. Then I start thinking about how much I'm going to miss seeing the participants and hearing about them and what they're doing in their lives. We have a lot of beautiful children in the courtroom today as well, hearing about that. And then I sometimes get sad because we all think about missing people. But today it's about the celebration and about the amazing accomplishments of everyone here. So like last month when we had graduation, which was our first graduation in months since the coronavirus hit, we still live in a time of much uncertainty in our world. We continue to grapple with how the coronavirus affects us, how people are feeling isolated and disconnected from one another. Our nation is in a little bit of turmoil as we await an election and more. But during the time of uncertainty, that is when we should celebrate moments like this. We should take the time to recognize that people continue to do amazing things, continue to move beyond adversity or difficult times, and do great things. And that is what we are celebrating today. I want to give a shout out specifically. I can see a whole bunch of people on Zoom, so give a shout out to everybody who's on Zoom. And our drug court team is thrilled today to be celebrating the graduations of Nadia Carmack, Tyler Dahlstrom, William McLean, and Christopher Nolan. And as I review the files, because I review the files in preparation for graduation, I was struck about each of their journeys here today. They've had struggles and successes, but they all have something in common that I have never seen before as they prepared for graduation. And that is they all entered the program at almost exactly the same time. Two joined on May 14th, 2019, one on May 17th, and one on May 21st. So they all joined within a week of each other and get to graduate today. One of our graduates is also a graduate of the CDP program. 3 people have had their driver's license reinstated during their time in the program. 2 have welcomed new children into their families. Each graduate is working and is parenting children. They all have stable housing and they have a strong and stable recovery. Our drug court team admires each and every one of you, and we are so excited for you today. And just like I've said at the last several graduations, really want to encourage you to contact the program, whether you call your counselor, drop by the building, whatever, drop us a call and let us know how you are doing every single month, at least for 1 year, because we care about you. We care about how you move forward, and we want to celebrate future successes that you have with you as well. And finally, you know, a lot of people are watching this. Our current participants are watching this. We invite elected officials to be a part of our graduations. We invite law enforcement who may have been involved with people in our system to be part of the our graduation celebration. And normally we can actually see them in the courtroom. We don't know who's watching today, but we know, besides the people we see on Zoom, we know that there are other people in the community who are celebrating with us today as well through the live stream. And I talked about at the last graduation about the fact that we know the drug court works. And we know drug court works because we can look at these 4 people who are graduating and see how they have changed their lives. But other people, when they look at success, they look at other measurements of success. They look at how many people graduate, how much does our program cost, how much money is the community saving by this process. And so we know all of the intangible benefits off the top of our head. We know that people change their lives, that they are reunited with their family, that they rediscover and love themselves and know that they can do anything. We can't put a number on that. We just know that that happens for all of our graduates. But for those who need a number, these are the numbers that I would tell you as it relates to the 4 people who are graduating today. Had the 4 people who are graduating today been sentenced, found guilty and been sentenced to a mid-range sentence for their crimes, they would have been serving a total between the 4 of them of 189 months. That's almost 16 years. It costs $115 a day for someone to be housed at the Department of Corrections. That is $671,600 over 16 years. And I say that because instead of that, we have people who in 17 months are completely different people. They are active members of our community. They want to be part of our community. And it's because of their hard work and because I think also the dedication and support of our program and our awesome treatment providers that they are here today. And the last thing I'll say before I start introductions is that one of our graduates today said it best when we talk about those intangible benefits and about having our graduates really be part of our community. And he said, I have a newfound faith in myself and society at large. Because that's what it is. We are a community and we are doing this together. So super, super excited to be here today and celebrating. Always start by introducing our team. I will start by introducing our program manager, Sabrina Craig. I presume she's on Zoom, our program coordinator, Kim Robbins. Our administrative assistant who is running things technology-wise here in the courtroom, Kim England. We have 2 prosecutors assigned to our drug court program, and Ms. Hewitson is here in the courtroom, and I believe Mr. Abid is present by Zoom. And we have 3 defense attorneys assigned to our program. Brian Gearhart is here in the courtroom, and we have Jenna Norden and Luke Swinney, who I believe are present by Zoom. We have an amazing treatment team, and we have here in the courtroom the clinical supervisor, Autumn Irvine. And we also have in the courtroom treatment providers, Lori Mize and Tony Bartlett. And by Zoom, we have treatment provider Terry Buckner. Our program assistant, Danny Duell. And I'm not sure if she's by Zoom or if she's live streaming. And then our 2 office assistants, Darcy LaChapelle and Jason Foreman. And again, we don't know who might also be on the live stream, but I would like to give a special thank you to any elected officials that are watching this graduation, any law enforcement, any people from the Strophe Foundation who help fund certain things in our program. I also hope that we have past graduates who are live streaming and participating in this way as well. So those are the introductions. We get to now meet and hear from each of our graduates, and I'm going to invite forward Lori Mize to introduce our first graduate.
This graduate began the program on May 14th, 2019. She struggled a bit in the beginning, but soon surrendered to the program and things became a lot easier for her. She made the commitment to learn whatever she could from the program and began to build solid recovery for herself. She participated well in her groups and her bookwork was well thought out and always done thoroughly. She became a mother to a beautiful baby girl who she devotes most of her time to. She has built a support group that is small but very effective for her. She plans to go on to work for the Catholic Community Services after drug court and plans to continue to build a strong recovery so that her daughter never has to see her under the influence of drugs. It is my pleasure to introduce Nadia Carmack.
Hi. My name is Nadia Carmack. Before entering the drug court program, I spent most of my adult life either on the run or behind bars. My early life experiences tell a story of which many people would cry from. I used drugs and sex to distract myself from pain. It was in my attempt to find happiness that I nearly destroyed myself. I certainly destroyed my life. I betrayed those who loved me. I betrayed myself. I caused myself an emptiness that consumed me and left me feeling hollow. When I started drug court, I was determined to find a way back to myself. I'd reached a point in my addiction where the drugs no longer worked. They certainly didn't numb the pain anymore, and the early fun of it all had definitely worn off. At first, I wasn't sure if this program was the answer, but I knew that if I didn't want to die an addict, that I would need to try. At this point, I'd already attempted to get clean several times on my own. Each time I would fall back into my addiction because I couldn't cope with my earlier pain. I'm happy to report that thanks to this program, I now have a well-equipped way to deal with that pain. With the support of this program, I have made so much further than I could have ever imagined. My life isn't perfect, but it certainly is awesome. I have hope in my future. I am healing from my past. I have a beautiful daughter and a loving, supportive boyfriend, both of whom I love very much. I love myself, and for the first time in my life, I found happiness that I'd been looking for. I found it in myself, and I found myself in sobriety, and sobriety through the program support. I'd like to thank the drug court staff as a whole. I'd like to thank Darcy for monitoring the endless amount of UAs. Big shout out goes to Sabrina for giving me another shot after failing so horribly the first time. Kayla, Lori, Terry, Michael, and Autumn for leading groups and facilitating countless helpful conversations amongst the participants. Thank you, Brian, for speaking on my behalf when I had messed up and earned myself a sanction. To Judge Schaller for always ruling fairly and encouraging me not only to do better, but to also be better. My ultimate gratitude goes to Lori, though, who heard my every woe without a single eye roll. She allowed me to make my own mistakes and showed me how to fix them. For instance, my first mistake was Lori was assuming that this was also her first rodeo. It was not. I'd also like to thank my little family for always believing in me. Edward for talking me down from at least one relapse. Corey for always supporting me, even when I made that difficult. And Cameron for being that extra push I needed when I felt like giving up. I'd like to congratulate those who are also graduating today, to encourage those who are still in the program, and to ensure you that though it has not always been easy, it has always been worth it. That you have. Thank you.
So I'm gonna have Ms. Craig explain what is in the coffee cup that you are getting today.
You can go ahead and I'm gonna use another one.
Okay.
So, Ms. Carmack, we're giving you this as a token of our appreciation for your hard work and efforts. And in the bag, you will find your stone, a couple of marbles and a couple of pennies and a little note as a reminder for you on a difficult day that reads, and I always have a hard time with this. When the world feels like it makes no sense and you feel like you're losing your marbles, grab a stone from within and start your day all over again. Keep up the great work and congratulations.
Next, I would like to invite forward Tony Bartlett, who will introduce our next graduate.
All right, Tyler started the program in May of 2019. Just like all the other graduates, I heard Judge Schaller say that. He's met all the requirements of the program, and I've had the privilege to work with him over the last 3 months. Most of our conversations have dealt with life after drug court. He has a solid recovery plan and a passion to stay clean. His motivation has been to get his children back, and he's accomplished that. Works full-time in landscape maintenance, and recently he's been pouring a lot of concrete. He's a hardworking guy. Our conversations, have been incredible in the few months that I've been able to work with him. And I feel that he's very equipped to stay clean one day at a time. So it's my pleasure to introduce Tyler Dahlstrom.
Before entering the Thurston County Drug Court, I was deeply addicted to all things. Yeah, my son's loud, sorry guys. Addicted to all things that in one way or the other negatively affected my life. Drugs, using friends, to weak benders, stealing, manipulating, lying, and habitually never taking care of myself or my responsibilities. I was a mess. I was arrested in November of 2018 for trying to sell stolen kayaks. I was charged with possession of stolen property in the first, trafficking stolen property in the second. I bailed out and ran for a quick minute. By March, I was locked back up. By May, I was given the option of drug court or 53 to 73 months of prison. I took drug court. I had a little bit of a slow start. I got caught drinking and then got caught lying about drinking. From that point, a switch went off in my head and I began to really think about what I wanted in life. At that point, I knew I needed to trust the program and the drug court team and believe that they had my best interest at heart. All that was needed for me was to follow their guidance. I quickly started seeing changes in my life and began to realize that the consequences of my actions did not only affect me, but also everyone dear and close to me. I wanted to be a good dad, son, brother, uncle, and friend. To do that, I had to be happy and proud of myself first, while taking the burden of those around me who had been holding my hand for so long and become independent. I got a job, which I still have to this day, got my license back, and relieved my dad of his taxiing services. Starting to open up and feeling comfortable in group, and in doing so, made friends with my peers. Everything began to work itself out for the better. By the time phase 2 hit, I was really feeling comfortable and happy, but I really missed my kids. My 5-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, was living in a bad situation at their grandmother's, and my 1-year-old son, Cole, had been taken from his mother by CPS to a foster home for a short period of time, and now is living with my mom. Michael told me in a one-on-one, if you want your kids, only you can put in the work, do every single thing CPS asks you to give, and give them no reason they shouldn't be with you and under your care. Then it was time to take care of my responsibilities, my kids. Knowing drug court was my first priority, and without it, I would not have anything but a prison cell. I buckled down, engaged in group, stayed on top of my bookwork, continued going to meetings, went to work every day, and threw all my extra time into complying with the services CPS required of me. It wasn't easy. Where am I at here? I now have custody of my son and my daughter, and CPS case is dismissed. Now that I'm in the third phase and things are slowly coming to an end, I'm realizing that the patience and hard work really does pay off. All the little things that drug court taught me, be honest, transparent, structured, maintain a schedule, and show up, may seem small, but completely round out the larger scope of things. This process has given me back my pride, reassured me that I am worthy of happiness and success, and that only I can make the choices to maintain that. Drug court saved my life. After graduation, I plan to continue work, attend meetings, mainly continue doing all the things outside of drug court I've been doing the last year and a half because this works for me and my recovery. Why change something that works? To fill the void of drug court, I plan to spend more time with my kids and family. Also find new hobbies and reconnect with old hobbies, not forgotten, just not had the time to do. Such things as photography and hiking. I'd like to thank the whole drug court team for this chance and opportunity to better myself and make something of my life. To all the counselors for being passionate about what you do and getting to know me and pushing me to be my best. To Judge Schaller for acknowledging my accomplishments and making me feel worthy of a successful life. To Mr. Bid for holding me accountable for my mistakes, but also acknowledging my accomplishments. The lawyers for not only getting to know me and help me with anything drug court related, but also my Mason County stuff. To Sabrina for always shooting me straight, being honest, saying things like, "So this is me." I appreciate you. To my family, Dad, Mom, Bri, Ryan, Aunt Tina, Grandma, Pa, thanks for always having my back and being the most loving, supporting family group anybody could ask for. To my girlfriend Alex for helping me through the toughest but most successful time in my life. Spent the world to me. And finally to my kids, you light up my life. You make everything worth working for. You guys bring joy and happiness into my life. Thank you, and I love you.
You take a cup. Tyler Dahlstrom, 442 days, clean and sober. I say this before, and I apologize for that when we were finishing things with Ms. Carmack, Nadia Carmack, 486 days, clean and sober. Next, we are going to turn to Zoom, and we are going to hear from Terry Buckner as he introduces our next graduate.
This young man knew what he needed to do, but was lost. He was lost and afraid to make the changes. He entered the program with an open mind and a little stubborn on the side, but he quickly embraced the program and this new lifestyle that he is now very happy and appreciative with. With that, I'm very proud to introduce Mr. William McLean.
So, my name's William McLean, and I'm a drug court graduate and a drug addict. Oh, okay. I'm also a drug addict. I'm here today as a graduate, and I just want to say that this program has taken me further than I ever thought possible. I started using drugs at a very young age and used consistently from the beginning. About 2 years ago, I finally hit the end of my criminal and drugging career. I had overdosed from heroin and had to be resuscitated. I thought this would compel me to cease using, and it did, but only for about 24 hours. Then I was right back at it. In the following months, I overdosed about 4 more times, and each time vowing to stop, and each time breaking that vow quickly. I'd finally had enough. I wanted to stop using, but I couldn't do it on my own. I was picked up and charged with possession of heroin on August 15th, 2018 in Tumwater, and I was offered drug court at that time, and I knew it would be my best chance of getting the help I needed. The day before I was to sign and enter CDP drug court program, I made bail. I hadn't expected this to happen. The next day I went to court, and Sabrina was very surprised to see me out of custody. Almost as surprised as I was to be out. At this point, I could have signed and came back into custody and start CDP. Well, I was not willing to go back into custody. And did I say that when I'm high, I make poor decisions? Needless to say, I was off and running again. I stopped showing up for court, got an FTA warrant. I was stopped a few months later, and I was a wreck. I was strung out, hungry, cold, and tired. I was utterly defeated. And when stopped, knowing that I had warrants, I gave my brother's name, as I had done many times in the past. The officers didn't buy it this time. So I was arrested for another 2 possessions, obstruction of justice, bail jump, and criminal impersonation. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I was not happy to get arrested. and I thought I was surely headed back to prison. This time for quite a while than my previous sentences. However, it was quite a relief because I knew the running was over and that my immediate needs would be met in custody. I was once again offered the CDP drug court and knew that without a doubt that this was my best chance at staying alive and finding recovery. And it has been. I dove in from the beginning, and I made agreement with myself that I would become honest, diligent, and do whatever it takes to get clean and stay clean. As soon as I began the CDP portion, I did just that. Once I got to work release, I started going to outside meetings at NA, and I found my home. Then in no time, I was released from there, and I went into drug court with some clean time and a lot of support in the recovery community, which I think made things a lot easier. Speaking of easy, it's often said that the NA program is simple, but not easy. Drug court, on the other hand, in my opinion, is easy, but not simple. I say not simple because there are a lot of requirements, rules, and conditions. The thing is, after learning what these were and figuring out a schedule and surrendering, I found it was easy as long as I was just honest and transparent. By doing this, I really learned that not only were the staff at drug court professionals, but I also learned that they cared and were more than willing to try and understand my struggles and always ready to help. There was a time when I thought there was no help for me and that death was likely to be sooner than later. Now, however, I have hope. Hope for the future of myself and for addicts everywhere. For this and so much more, I owe great thanks to the drug court team and my peers in the program with me, and especially the program of Narcotics Anonymous. As I mentioned before, in NA I have found my home. I have also found my family, my friends, and my chance to help others. Most of my life before consisted of taking from others, but now through the program of NA and drug court, I have found a way to give back, be of service to others, and find a new way to live. No matter what else happens in my life, I hope to always attend meetings, work an honest program, and be of service. As I said, I am grateful to all who have aided me in this journey, and I would like to recognize the efforts of a few people in particular. Sabrina, thanks for taking a chance and giving me another shot. I'd like to thank some family who's not here today. My sister Amanda, my mom, Melissa, and Jillian. They've all played critical roles in my recovery and transition to where I am today. Terry, I appreciate everything you've helped me with, and for many of my battles, I feel you are right beside me. I also thank you for helping me see the positive change in myself, giving me encouragement, and for reminding me that I'm always worth it. And Terry, I know this is kind of a long speech, but don't worry, we only have about 2 more hours. To Nikki Anderson, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey and your recovery. And thank you for being such a huge part of mine. We've been together in this since the beginning. And even though that at times we drifted apart, I know I can always count on you and hope you know all you need to do is ever ask, and I'll be there for you. Jason Snow. You've been my friend, my brother, my sponsor, and my sponsee. You've played many parts in my recovery, but the best gift you have given me was trusting me and helping me learn a little bit more about what honesty looks like. You've always accepted me for who I am, respected me as an equal, and never made me feel anything but love. So thank you, Jason. I also want to thank you, Tim, my brother. My brother has been my best friend for a long time. Times have been rocky, fun, scary, exciting and miserable for us. We used together, we became estranged from each other, we reconciled in our addiction, and then we really used together. Then we were separated due to my most recent prison sentence. He found his way to NA. I'm so grateful for the program, for saving his life, and for giving me the chance to now be in recovery with my brother. This time when I agreed to do drug court, he supported me immensely. But I just want to say thank you again, Tim, for opening your home, having faith in me, trusting me, and aiding me no matter what the cost to you. You are an amazing man and the best brother I could hope to have. And finally, a special thanks to Judge Schaller. As I'm sure you may remember, we have a bit of history even before drug court. When I first came to the program and learned that you were the judge to be overseeing the proceedings, I was confident of one thing, of your fairness. Because in the past, I didn't always like your decisions, and truth be told, I didn't always like you. However, after spending more time in court with you, both during my time at the podium and especially at the time of others, I learned that you were not only fair, but you somehow combined the seemingly opposing qualities of professionalism and compassion in a way I never thought possible. So thank you, Your Honor, for doing your job well, and most of all, for being the person you are and making an enormous impact in my life. So once again, thank you to all who made this experience possible. So thanks. Thank you.
Hey, well.
What? Oh, is that one mine? All right.
Hit the wrong rock.
William McLean, 517 days in recovery. We're going to turn to Zoom one more time so that Mr. Buckner can introduce our final graduate today.
This young man thought this program would be an easy ride. He soon found out that he'd have to put some effort and a lot of hard work towards it. And he did. He did put the effort and the hard work to it. Now, he's very happy. He's very proud of his accomplishments, and he has a very good life to look forward to for him and his family. I am proud to introduce Mr. Christopher Nolan.
Thanks, Will. Hello, my name is Christopher Nolan. I was born March 10th, 1985. I grew up a pretty good childhood and graduated from WFS High School and went on to college to continue my wrestling career. At 20, I started working in construction until I was 30. I was just a social drinker and smoker at that time. And at 31, I was introduced to Percocet by a doctor when I broke my leg. It was over from that day on. I'm now an addict for anything and everything that will cover up pain and hardship. By the time I was 32, I was using heroin and meth on a daily basis, doing anything and everything to survive. In those 2 years, I got 7 possession charges, lost my children's CPS, facing prison time for sure. At first, I took the diversion program, and that only lasted a couple months until I got a new possession charge down in Lewis County. Thankfully, Luke Sweeney was able to work drug court out of the deal. He did a global resolution with the new charge, and I was able to take drug court. After I was able to get a deal like that, I was all in. I knew this was my last chance, and knowing it wasn't going to be easy. I wasn't ready, but I was committed. Thank you, Sabrina, for telling me I was worth it. That was my first impression of drug court, as my face was picked out and I was high. I entered the program on May 14th, 2019. I have since excelled. In this short time, I learned how to be normal, and self-medicating is a disease. I learned how to trust people and be honest, especially with myself. In phase 2, I learned how to use the tools in my everyday life, and boy, did it start to change for the first time in a long time. I was actually proud of myself. I had a slow start, but I haven't relapsed since. I've been through a lot, so I've had a lot to deal with thanks to this program. I was able to take care of 4 outside pending charges, get a set date by CPS to get my children back, which, by the way, is on October 22nd. It's over. I get my kids back. I also juggled drug court, raised my children full time. I've been able to move into my own apartment back in March, bought a new truck in August, and I've gone to spend lots of time with my family and gone on trips, camping especially. Through the ups and downs, I've been able to stay positive, honest, and trustworthy. I have a home, group, an NA, and a sponsor. I want to thank you, Terry, for always being straight up with me, no BS, and guiding me through the process. Autumn for calling me on my crap and holding me accountable. Jason, Darcy for being there. And all of you who have to deal with, all of you two have to deal with. And the rest of the staff, you have made an impact on me somehow, some way. Thank you, Judge Schaller, for giving me a piece of advice and mine when needed. You are so passionate about your job, like I've never seen before. After I graduate, I'm going on a vacation cross country to visit my family and friends. I'm going to continue working my recovery and checking in with Terry because he's never going to retire. I will continue building my construction business. And I want to thank everybody in the program and my family, friends who have supported me through this journey, helping me prepare for my new beginning. Thanks again, Luke, for all you've done to help me also. Thank you.
Christopher Nolan, 498 days clean program. At this time, I am going to introduce Ms. Hewitson, who is going to present the Hope Coins, which is part of our graduation tradition.
Thank you, Your Honor. So in Thurston County Prosecutor's Office, we believe in hope. So hope is the idea that no matter how horrible your circumstances are, the situation is, that there is a way out. And I can't think of a better group of individuals who demonstrate for the Thurston County community than our drug court participants. So whether you had multiple cases that needed to be wrapped up, you had a long history, or you're looking at a long prison sentence, you identified for yourselves that there was hope in your lives. And you followed that path by entering into drug court. You were honest with Sabrina, you were forthright, you worked with your attorneys, and you identified that you could make your lives better. You didn't know what that road looked like. You didn't know if it was easy or simple or hard, but you demonstrated for yourselves and for the greater community that there is hope. And that when people apply hope in their lives, they can make big things happen. And so in recognition of your graduation today, I have the Thurston County Hope Coin. These are very limited. And I challenge you all to hold on to this for yourselves and for your families as a demonstration that you beat the law, you beat your case through the hard work and perseverance of drug court. You did that. You put the work in, but also as a reminder to anybody else out there who's struggling, anybody else who says that their life is hopeless, that there is nowhere to go, that you challenge them with this challenge coin, that it is never hopeless. You are the shining examples. And I will tell you as a prosecutor, the reason we look at what would be considered hopeless cases for drug court is because the 4 of you graduate today. You allow Brian to do a better job for his clients because he can hold you up as examples of how drug court works. And even for people with lengthy histories or for just one-off, that there is always hope. So today I want to present you with a Hope Coin in recognition of your graduation and your achievements in drug court today, and tell you how very proud we are to have you as members of our community.
All right. We added just within this year, we changed graduation up a little bit so each of the lawyers could address the graduates as well as ultimately that I get a chance to address you as well. So I'm going to invite Ms. Hewitson to come forward to offer her comments to a couple of the graduates.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to start first with Nadia. So it has been a pleasure to have you in court as your prosecutor. I just want to say you have always been so forthright with what's going on. And I really appreciate, I think for myself, is just listening to everything that you've shared and the other participants. You've been honest about your struggles and you've accepted responsibility when you've had to accept responsibility, as difficult as some of those sanctions are. But I just appreciate your openness and your willingness in court, and you have taught me some lessons, ma'am. And thank you. So thank you for being such a pleasure to have in court. So Mr. Abid will be taking over for me in a minute. But Chris, I think it's always been very forthright when I talk to all the other attorneys, because you've had other DPAs, that you are a dad through and through. That you have always been a shining example of someone who puts his kids as a priority. And you wanted to make their lives better. And I think that's just such a selfless act. And all of the hurdles that drug court have given you, you're a pleasure to have in court because your file is very small. You do not have multiple sanctions. The attorneys do not like having to send people to jail or write up a 3rd or 4th cell phone violation, as much as you think the prosecutors like it, we don't. But I just appreciate how much thoughtfulness you've put into the program. And I will say, I think you had a really good balance of putting your kids first, but realizing you needed to do the work on yourself. Because I think there's a lot of excuses sometimes that people use, and you did not do that, sir. So congratulations, we're so proud of you.
We're now going to turn to Zoom because Mr. Abid is going to address 2 of the graduates.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, to Tyler Dahlstrom, in his phase 1 on a weekly basis when he appeared on Wednesday afternoon, it was an honor to work with him. Tyler, you struggled a little bit after starting after starting. In June of 2019 to August, you had some hiccups. After that, you turned things around completely. as you said earlier, a switch went off in your head. And that is very true because right after that, I saw that you were focused on your children's dependency cases. And then just after that, you were just straight shot in the drug court. Started working really hard and it started overcoming a lot. And then you have. So excellent work. I think in your life going forward, you have so much to offer. My heartfelt congratulations. William McLean, I was engaged or involved in your cases early on before you even started your journey in your drug court program because I had the privilege of charging your cases. So, fortunately for you or unfortunately, but I think that while reviewing your cases with your attorney, Andrew Yee, we both believed that you would benefit from drug court. Both were right. At the second time around in 2019, when you accepted drug court through CDP, I became of a belief that you were really, became convinced that you were really serious about your recovery, and it showed over the time. We really appreciate your hard work, your commitment in the program, and it paid off for you. So congratulations.
I'm now going to invite Mr. Gerhardt to come forward to address, I believe, 2 of the graduates.
Nadia, this is pretty cool. I was looking back through your file just this morning, and actually, from the very first time you were in drug court to today, we were in court every time. We were in different sessions. I moved times that I was in court. You changed to Thursday afternoon to follow me. So we worked together from start to finish, and I think Ms. Hewitson was there the whole time too. But also in going through your file, I saw that, right before you entered drug court, and early in phase 1, you had some really hard life experiences happen, but there's not a negative note in terms of a sanction of when you had those things happen because you moved through them. I mean, those were things that are hard for anyone, but especially hard for someone newly sober, doing all the drug court stuff, everything else that you had piled on your plate, and you moved through those. And I think what I'll remember the most is, first of all, somewhat being nervous every time you would come up to the podium because you were kind of like a word tornado. And I had no idea what was going to come out of your mouth. Right? Yeah. But it was always upbeat and positive, and funny. And that's, I think, what I'm going to remember. And I think that rubbed off on other people. You pointed out some other people that have supported you. You have your support system. But I don't think you even know how many people you supported with your positive attitude and your sense of humor. I remember coming out into the hallway and you would have everyone out there cracking up. I would miss the joke, thankfully, but everyone would be laughing. And so I hope that you always keep that personality trait, your sense of humor. But also, I made a joke, said, you were a word tornado sometimes when you came up here, but as you've moved forward, I think you've gotten more of a sense of serenity. And I think that's pretty amazing given everything you have, a new baby, a graveyard shift, life, right? Life now is crazy for all of us, but you are doing it and you're doing it well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mr. McLean, Jenna did want to be here today. Unfortunately, she can't. She had a family obligation, but she did send me some of her
I actually
thoughts.
made it.
Oh, she made it. I did not know that, but she's here.
Just barely. And
Just one second. I want to say, awesome that Ms. Norden who did have another obligation. She rushed and got that done because she so much wanted to be able to be here for graduation and be here to address you. So I just think she deserves a round of applause too.
Thank you. And Mr. McLean, it's weird because I can't see you, but I know that you're there. So I really wanted to tell you congratulations and really want to convey just how proud I am of you and everything that you accomplished while in drug court and all of the hard work that you put into the program. From the perspective of a defense attorney, Mr. McLean was like a really easy participant. And I say that because Mr. McLean was pretty much always in compliance and doing really well. I can only think of like one very minor issue. I've always been really impressed by Mr. McLean, his just consistency and his clear dedication to both drug court and to his sobriety. He's always been very steady in everything that he does related to drug court and also, you know, in his life outside of drug court. It also was always really clear to me that Mr. McLean put a lot of work into making friendships with other participants and also put a lot of work and effort into supporting other participants. I've had countless experiences of other people talking about how their friendship with Mr. McLean positively affected them, or how Mr. McLean helped them or was there for them in some way. So clearly Mr. McLean is a huge asset to our community and to the drug court community. And I really wish him the best in the future and hope that he stays in touch with all of us. So congratulations, you really deserve this and great work. And I wish I were there in person, and take care. Thank you.
All right, so now it is my turn to address the participants, and we do not tell each other what we're going to say. And I say that because you're going to hear some things from me that you've heard from other people who have spoken to you today. And I think that that's a testament to just the great strengths that we have seen in each and every one of you as you have been in this program. So I'm going to start with Ms. Carmack, and I also would indicate I usually start by just talking a little bit about the procedure of how you've been in the program. I talk about if you've had sanctions and things like that, not only to show how much you've accomplished, but also I think it is great for the current participants who are watching this or who'll watch it later to hear that you can have struggles and you can continue forward and you can be successful. So Ms. Carmack, as I said at the beginning, everyone entered within a 1 week period of time in May and started May 14th of 2019. And at that point, your case had been around for about 10 months. In the first several weeks, you had several violations related to UA issues. But then after that, and I'll talk about this just a little bit too, but I echo what Mr. Gerhardt said. You had more happen in your personal life than I've really seen other participants have to experience in a really short period of time. And despite that, you never had an issue with your UAs or relapse. You went to phase 2 on September 7, 2019. You had a couple of sanctions while you were in phase 2 related to treatment. Your beautiful daughter, Cameron, was born on February 27th, I believe. You went to phase 3 while we were in COVID. You maintained a strong recovery and a strong participation in the program all through that time. And that was May 7th, almost a year after you had joined the program, you went to phase 3. And you had your driver's license reinstated just within the last several weeks, which was another great accomplishment. You are a person with so much internal drive and motivation. And I say that specifically because you have been through a tremendous amount while you were in this program. You had a lot of incredibly difficult things not happen directly to you, but to important people in your life. You were pregnant and had a baby while you were in this program. And regardless of what was going on, you kept moving forward. One of the strengths that I've seen in you, besides your internal drive and motivation, is what some of the other people were talking about, and that is your communication. You're honest and forthright. You talk about what is going on with you. You don't hold stuff back. You don't stuff it in. That might have been an old behavior, but it was not what we saw in this program. And I would hope that you continue that on as you move forward. You have the best laugh. You are practical and a no-nonsense kind of person. Your recovery is really strong, and you are really at just the right place to graduate. Also, I've seen the pictures. I've got the pleasure of seeing your beautiful daughter here in the courtroom today, and I know that you are a great mother, and I know that from the way that you talk about your daughter, talk about how you've handled all of the things of having a young child, and she's really lucky to have you. Now, you know that I always talk about participants' own words at graduation because I actually think you have, all of you have the most powerful words when you write in your applications. The other emotion I get is just overwhelmed sometimes with admiration of the people who graduate this program. And that's what I'm feeling right now. But I quote from your graduation applications always in my comments to you because I think that your insights into yourselves are really more profound than anything that we can say. When you moved from phase 2 to phase 3, and that was in May, like I said, of this year, you stated in your application, "It's been a long time since I felt this confident in my own skin. My life is not the complete mess it was when I first started. And for the first time ever, I'm proud of the person I am. Even my bad days," this part I love, "even my bad days are good days now because they are another day clean." And I just think that those are great words. They're just right on point. They describe really your journey through our program. And not everyone's words, though, or things that they write in one phase application match what they say in their next application that we get. And that's not because the words weren't true at one point, but things change or there are new insights. But your graduation application, in my mind, kind of touched on some of those things. Because in your graduation application, you stated, "I am finally able to understand that taking life on life's terms does not mean that I'll always like those terms." And I wish everyone, including myself, and I know I'm seeing people shake their heads yes, that we could realize that because it's so profound. You stated you were ready to graduate because, "If I'm honest, when I started this program, I wasn't sure if I could finish it. Now I've broken free of those old chains that used to bind me, and I know I never want to go back. I've got my whole life ahead of me, and now that I'm moving in the right direction, that does not seem like such a bad thing." I love myself again. You are an amazing woman. I admire you, and I know that you are going to be able to achieve each and everything that you ever put your mind to. Congratulations. So when I reviewed your file, Mr. Dahlstrom, because when people come into drug court, I don't look at every single thing that's happened in your case. Before you come into drug court, I'm just looking at whether or not you are knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entering the program, as you know, because you've heard me say that multiple times. But Mr. Dahlstrom, when I was reviewing the file, I noticed that before you entered drug court in May, you'd had several warrants, and we're not voluntarily necessarily coming to court. But you made the decision, and in May 21, 2019, you entered the program. And I appreciate that you mentioned in your speech today about the fact that you had relapsed on alcohol, and then you said, "And I wasn't honest," or "I lied about that." But at that moment, you got to decide what you wanted to do in the program and you decided that you weren't going to head down that road of trying to kind of, I guess, walk the line, maybe I can get away with this or that, you just said, I'm all in. During the program, you had just a couple of sanctions. You went to phase 2 on September 7th. You went to phase 3 also on May 20th during COVID. And today you are graduating. And also during this process, you got your driver's license reinstated. You did a lot more than that, but that's always a big thing that we celebrate in drug court when people are able to get their driver's license reinstated, because that's such a big hurdle for people. So after the incident with the alcohol and dishonesty, you turned things around and really focused. You worked incredibly hard. You were not only part of drug court, but you also had a dependency action, and you had to do a lot of requirements, and that was frustrating at times because it was a slow process, and it would feel like you were at the completion point. It was at, and then sometimes it was, and now you need to do this. And that is frustrating, but you did not allow that to derail you. Your focus was always on your son, and just focusing on that and knowing that you could get through the process. You also were able to, when you discovered a situation with your daughter, you were able to go and help her and be available and begin parenting her as well during this process. You work incredibly hard. You have held a job this entire time, and I know that it demanded many, many hours of your work. When you finished phase 2, you described that you had learned that hard work pays off. Those are your words. I completely agree with that. And you also said at phase 2 that you had proven yourself to be trustworthy and honest in all aspects of your life. And what I found profound about that is that not only was it true, but that those are 2 key things we talk about all the time in drug court. But the reality is you have to be trustworthy and you have to be honest, not just today, but always, to maintain your life, to maintain your integrity, to maintain your recovery. In your application to graduate, you stated that you were so ready to graduate, and stated, for the past 16 months, drug court has given me the platform to take a look at who I was and an opportunity to choose who I wanted to be. Knowing this, drug court gave me the knowledge and tools to become the person I wanted to be. Graduation is the next step, and I want the opportunity to prove myself. I know that I can do this and maintain it on my own. So you certainly are ready to graduate, but remember, you don't ever have to do anything just on your own, even though you can, because you have the support of your friends, your family, your sponsor, your community, and all of us. Congratulations. Mr. McLean, you entered drug court, I gotta move just a little bit here, on May 17th, and you started in the CDP program. And so when you were in phase 1 of CDP, we would staff you and hear about how you were doing, but I didn't really get to start to know you, of course, until you started phase 2 and started coming to court. You completed CDP on October 22nd, and then you actually had a graduation, participated in the CDP graduation on October 30th. And I remember that graduation, and I remembered the tremendous amount of supportive people, including your brother, who were present and celebrating that first milestone in the program. You went to phase 2 on December 10th of 2019, and you moved to phase 3 on May 12th. You only had 1 sanction when you were in the program, and that was not associated with any mistreatment. It was not associated with any missed fee. It was because you were behind in your treatment fees. And I mentioned that because that is astounding, to have no missed UAs, no mistreatment or anything like that. Just really wanted to recognize your good work. I went back and looked through all my CDP notes on you. And what those say from the beginning is that you were a strong participant. You were described as motivated. You became a leader in group and positive influence on your peers, very supportive. You also did a good job of holding people accountable. In the last staffing that I had for you when you were in phase 1, your counselor stated that you are a shining star in the CDP program. All of the reports from phase 2 of CDP were also very good. What I remember, and this is neither here nor there, but you were talking about what you were going to do with your first pass once you were in work release. And you said you were going to get a haircut and a steak. And then you came back and told us about how that was. You came into drug court, and you have been a strong participant the entire time. You are one of the participants who I've really loved to hear about their connection to the sober support network within our community, specifically NA, and how much that has brought to you and your daily life and your recovery. And to me, also, what that has, it's probably always been there, but instilled in you also is your sense of wanting to give back. And you have often described to us different things that you have done to help others in our community because you want to give back to others as other people have helped you along the way. When you were getting ready to finish phase 1, you said you were ready to go to phase 2 because you were ready for the next challenge, and you definitely don't want the fire in me to go out or to stagnate. And I will tell you, you are one of those people who it has always seemed like there is a fire inside of you on the issue of recovery. And it also does not appear that you ever stagnate. When you were ready to go to phase 3, you attributed your continued growth in your recovery to the work that you had done in treatment, coupled with the home that you found in NA and working the 12 steps. And of course, you've talked about that today. And I quoted you in the very beginning when I was giving my initial comments before we started introducing the graduates, because I thought it was so significant. And it's what we hope everyone has when they graduate. You said that you are ready to graduate because you have a newfound faith in yourself and society at large, and you are ready to pursue some of your long-term and personal civic goals. And that's what we want. We want people to have faith in themselves and faith in us, in your community that you live in. But most of all, you said, I feel great about completing a very significant undertaking and know that if I can do this well in drug court, there's nothing I can't accomplish if I apply myself and employ the help of others. And I hope that all of the current participants are listening to those wise words. I sometimes say something similar because if you can finish this program, you literally, each and every one of you can do anything because I can't imagine that anything is as hard or takes as much just dedication as being successful in this program. And so I just really loved those words. I look forward to hearing about all the things you do in the future and about how you continue to contribute within your sober support within NA and our community. Congratulations. So, Mr. Nolan, I just have to say, you all can't see this here who are live streaming or who are on Zoom because our cameras are what they are, although I'm very thankful we have it. But Mr. Nolan's little daughter was trying to get in here into the well, I think trying to get to her dad during this proceeding. And it reminded me, Mr. Nolan, of the day that I was sworn in as a judge because my son was 4 and he was seated out in the gallery, and he came running in as I'm getting ready to take my oath, right? And I scoop him up in my arms, and I'm just holding him and taking my oath. And I just love that because as a parent, we hope that our children are always looking at us like that, and clearly she already is. So, interesting as I looked through your case, especially, because your case was filed back in 2017, and you also had several warrants and a large amount of time where your whereabouts were unknown, but then you entered a diversion. And I will say that I did not realize that necessarily, or I didn't remember that when I was reviewing your file. And you were not successful in your diversion, and that brought you to drug court. And today I had someone who was scheduled for court who has a failed diversion and is trying to look at drug court. And I told the lawyers, we have to make sure we try and get this person here because it works. If a diversion doesn't work, drug court can work. And I said, because we have someone graduating today who is a success story on that. You entered drug court May 14th in that week of stars entering our program. And you also had a little hard time when you first started, but also with you shortly thereafter, you clearly, the switch was in your mind, you were focused and moving forward, and had only 2 violations after that. You moved to phase 2, September 21, 2019, and like several others, moved to phase 3 on May 20th of 2020. When I think about you, I think that you are someone who says it like it is. You're a pretty straightforward person. And that's what I was thinking as I was starting to review your file and starting to take my notes. And then I read the quote that you submitted for graduation, and each participant gets to provide a quote that's included at graduation. And I learned then that you being a straightforward kind of person comes to you naturally because your quote was from your father, right? Yes. And the quote that Mr. Nolan chose for his graduation, which is something he attributes to his father saying, is don't make a mess and you don't have to clean it up. And I just really appreciated that and thought that that was that's how I think of you, as just, this is what's going on and this is how I'm going to deal with it. You've worked incredibly hard. You had criminal cases in other jurisdictions. You had another child. You also have had dependency issues that you have been dealing with along the way. You had difficulty finding housing because of your situation, and that was a huge hurdle for you to have to overcome. You didn't stop. You kept going. You were so excited. You got into a place and you moved in. Well, then that wasn't the best place ever, but you know that you're going to ultimately go somewhere else. But you also didn't let that stop you. And we talk a lot about this in the program. I think about the difficulty when people can't find the right housing or stable housing. And I was always just so impressed. It may not seem like a big thing to you, but it was a big thing from our perspective about how you just kept going, even though you had disappointment after disappointment really in that process. You were very wise. When you were applying to go to phase 3, you noticed in the beginning, I wanted to hurry up and get to phase 3. I wish before I got to phase 2, I understood more patience and that this was a race to get better with life and not to get done with the program. Again, I hope all the current participants are listening to those wise words, because it's easy to get caught up in how do I get to the next step? How do I get to the next phase? Instead of being in the moment and trying to get everything you can in that moment. Also in that application, you talked about how much you missed things when we were in COVID and how you truly missed being in person, and said that you would not take things for granted after you had been experiencing things like that. In your graduation application, you said, I'm ready to graduate. I believe I've made it to my next step in life, which is the new beginning of my clean and sober career, which I love that, my clean and sober career. I use my toolbox on a daily basis. I know I'm not going backward. When I struggle or have issues, I have reached out. I have a solid circle of family and friends surrounding me. And you said, I'm ready to be an alumni, and we're ready for you to be an alumni too. You have done an amazing job. Congratulations.
Your Honor, Judge Schaller. This is
Yes.
Luke Swinning on the Zoom here. I don't want the court let Mr. Dahlstrom and Mr. Nolan graduate without me getting to talk at them one last time in court.
I'm so glad that you said that. I'm so sorry, Mr. Swinney.
Not a problem, Your Honor. I'll be brief here. Tyler, I just want to tell you that you have really displayed, I think, a lot of internal fortitude in your life during this program. I really do believe that someone without your abilities and your desire would have been overwhelmed by what you had to do to be successful, especially when you were juggling your dependency and drug court. So I view you as a rock, not just in terms of your sobriety, but I think you also represent a real quiet strength to your children. So I hope you know that and how lucky they are to have you back in their lives as the father and man that you are. So please try and live the rest of your life knowing how much of a blessing you are to those who care about you, and let that guide you the rest of your days. So thank you. And Chris, I just want to say to you that you should never minimize your accomplishments that you have reached in your life while in this program. I think back to our first meeting 3 years ago in my office talking about your cases, and I think about what your life looks like now compared to then. So take pride in that. Take pride in what you've done, because I'm proud to have worked with you. And if you go forward in your life being proud of every good thing you do, you will continue to build upon this foundation. And I don't think there's anything you can't accomplish. So go forward and be proud, sir, because you've done a really good job. Thank you.
All right, I am going to ask Ms. Irvine to come forward since Mr. Buckner is not here and he is usually the purveyor of trees. Ms. Irvine is going to do that.
You're gonna have to bear with me because I don't know. I'm not as good as it as Mr. Buckner is. I'm to start off on behalf of the treatment team. We are very proud of all 4 people. So, many years ago, a gentleman named Mr. Paul Graves, who has a soft spot in his heart for drug court, DUI drug court, he had decided that he wanted the graduates who have gone through this program and fought the hard fight to get through the end. He wanted to give them something to remind them. And so he decided on a tree. Trees are the Earth's natural clean air givers. I'm not clean air givers. Is that okay? Okay. They clean the air out, right? You give it the bad, it shoots out the good. And also he made them the noble firs, because noble firs are tough. They can live in just about any environment that you put them in. Kind of like you guys, that you can survive in any environment that you put yourself through. They're about the same age as your sobriety, about 15 months old. And what he says is, he says to go bury this, find a very special spot that you have and bury it. Right? It's up to the root, don't bury the whole tree.
Plant
it, thank you. This is not my job. And plant it. Don't go to it every day, because kind of like your guys' growth and recovery, if you look at it every single day, you're not going to see a change. But if you go to it every so often, when you have hard stuff going on or you're struggling, you go to it, you talk to it, you give it the bad, let it give you the good, and you're going to see it grow, like all of you guys have grown. So go out there, give it your ickiness, take in the goodness, and just remember all the great things that you have done, and that with anything you can accomplish, and stay strong. Congratulations.
Ms. Hewitson, do you have any motions for the court?
Your Honor, I may have one or two. If we could start first with Nadia Carmack. Your Honor, in cause 18-1-012-00-34, based on Ms. Carmack's successful completion of the drug court program, the state would move to dismiss with prejudice.
I will grant the state's motion.
Your Honor, next in Tyler Harold Dahlstrom, cause number 18-102-044-34. Based on Mr. Dahlstrom's successful completion of the drug court program, the state would move to dismiss with prejudice.
I will grant the state's motion.
Your Honor, next in William Wayne McLean. Mr. McLean comes before the court in two cause numbers, 18-101-409-34 and 19-100-415-34. Based on Mr. McLean's successful completion of the drug court program, the state would move to dismiss both matters with prejudice.
I will grant the state's motion.
And Your Honor, last but certainly not least, Christopher Kelly Nolan, Your Honor, in cause number 17-102-335-34. Based on Mr. Nolan's successful completion of the drug court program, state would move to dismiss with prejudice.
I will grant the state's motion. I have signed each of those orders. All of those cases are dismissed with prejudice. Congratulations. And that concludes graduation. Court is adjourned.
Oh, yeah.
Put them up on the board.
Are they gonna put them up?